Hello parents, this is Mary Keenly, principal of St. Theresa School with the September Parent Update. School has started and we're already next week going to be in midterm, mid-semester 1. And we're working heavily on our goals. The goal I'd like to start focusing on in September is goal number 4, and that is the use of iReady. Our goal this year was to become more efficient at this tool and to use the data that we have in a more effective manner. The status of iReady as of today is that we are complete with the fall testing. This is the first or baseline testing in iReady. You should be receiving the progress report regarding your child's growth on Friday. And the purpose of this is for you to review it so that you can discuss it when you come for parent-teacher conferences next week. The focus of your question is not so much the score, but where is your child developmentally and what kind of growth do we need to support and encourage you at home and we here at school and your child in his or her own studies. The testing in the report will focus on progress in the fundamental domains in reading and in math as defined by this test. In reading, the sounds of words, phonological awareness, and how those sounds come together to make up words, phonics. High frequency words, those words that we know by sight or those words that come common in our language, as well as vocabulary, the different ways and the different levels of speaking using words. And then of course comprehension both in literature or what we used to call fiction, and then informational text or nonfiction. In mathematics, 4 basic areas of focus: numbers and operations. That is, what are numbers and how do they interact with each other? Algebra and algebraic thinking. How do we make equations and how do these numbers relate to each other? Measurement and data, and then spatial math or geometry. The reports that you're going to see show measures of above grade level or at grade level, which are great. Approaching grade level, which especially in the fall is just perfectly fine. And then it needs improvement, and those are ones we want to take a look at because there's a weakness in there somewhere that we got to grab at. You might also see, especially in the early reading, you might see this symbol tested out. It just means that there's mastery in those areas and no further work is needed. You will be receiving a report that looks something like this. Let me walk you through this report kind of quickly. This happens to be a reading report for Miss Hermione Granger, who is in the 8th grade here at St. Theresa School. The first thing you're going to note is their placement. Where are they placing? They are in grade 8, and Miss Hermione is performing generally at a grade 8 level in reading. She is scoring in the 67th percentile. The goal for percentile, if you will, or the average score, the score we look for is 50th percentile. Half the kids are higher, half the kids are lower. You know how percentiles work. So this child is performing at the 67th percentile. The status in each of the domains is listed in this section here. Where is Hermione in her phonological awareness? Where is she in phonics? Where is she in high frequency words, etc.? You can see she's an 8th grader, so it's not surprising that she tested out of the basic skills of phonological awareness, phonics, and high frequency words. Those are more primary skills. Finally, in the reading report, we also have a lexile range. And this is a reading range that if your child is reading a book, this is the score or the lexile range that she wants to be in. That's going to give her appropriate challenge, but also appropriate interest in the text. You go higher for high interest books, lower for books that are more dense or require greater comprehension. This is the same report that you will also receive. This happens to be in mathematics, and you can see it works basically the same way. You can see their placement. Hermione is approaching 8th grade in mathematics. She is performing at the 59th percentile, and that her status in each of the 4 math domains is right on track around grade 8. So these are the reports that you will have received on Friday. Take a look at them before you come to parent-teacher conferences so that you can discuss with your teacher. Also, of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to come up and see me and let me know your thoughts. Overall, we are very pleased with the assessment period. The technology worked perfectly. The kids interacted well with the technology. The testing times were appropriate for the test, and we had very few red flags on the testing. The test knows when it goes too fast or too slow. And so we think it was a valid testing period, and the scores make sense to us. They appear similar to the way the child is functioning in class. The data that is provided us has been very helpful. For our teachers, we're using it to inform our instruction, especially when it comes to small group instruction and focused instruction on specific topics. For you, it should give you a good idea of where your child is right now and more importantly, how he or she will be growing in the upcoming months. For our students, when we review the score with the students, they will have an opportunity to understand where they are, their strengths and weaknesses, and how they want to grow. And for all of us, this testing gives a great idea on our growth. Not so much grades or even percentiles, but how we want to grow in these different domains that will strengthen the basis of all our learning in the future. The school as a whole has a data set. And what we are seeing is a relative or 0% change from the spring, and that's very important. That's what we want to see. That in the scale scores, they're almost identical to what they were in the spring. They should be almost identical, and they actually are. We have variances of between -1% loss and a 1% gains over the summer, and the aggregate is 0 change. In reading, we're seeing very strong readiness, retention over the summer, and the majority of K-8 are on or above grade level at this point in time. In math, our scores are variable in the primary grades. There are no patterns emerging. They're kind of all over the place. The grades, the scores, and the performance levels in the middle school are much more consistent at or above grade level in mathematics. Above all, though, this gives us a really clear projection for growth measurements in January. We have a nice data set that will be able to show us how our kids are learning and growing by January. What you will see in your child's instruction and what your child will experience in class, in the primary grades, we will see more small groups, focused small groups, based on these fundamental skills, looking at what the report said, along with other measures as well, and really focusing in on either shoring up or accelerating some of those fundamental skills. You will also see your child participating in the learning path, which is part of the iReady programming, about 30 minutes per subject per week, especially in grades K through 6, and those learning paths designed to strengthen those areas of domain, both in reading and math. And you will see in the upper grades, you will see focused attention to the growth areas in their reading and math instruction. And again, our next monitoring period will be in January. So to switch to the second topic, COVID, all I can say is that we're in school. Things are going well. The measures seem to be working for us. And we're all praying very hard that this thing rights itself and keeps going in the correct direction, and we can return to even greater degrees of normalcy. But I do encourage you to please keep praying and keep an eye on your kids to make sure that we can all get through this thing intact. Here at school, there's a lot going on already as we start the year off. We're really excited that field trips are starting up again. Not only are we able to go, but there was an issue with transportation that our new admin, Joni Schwartzbeck, has been able to figure out. So we do have transportation available, and so we will be able to participate in the field trips. Some ones that are coming up in the very near future. Both the 6th grade and the 7th grade will be going on separate trips up to Timberlea, which are full-day experiences, and our 3rd graders will be headed to the Volo Bog. We will also be participating in a confirmation retreat for our 8th graders who are choosing to be confirmed this year, and for our 7th graders who are year 1 confirmation candidates, they will also be participating in the Holy Fire retreat in the upcoming weeks. Both those retreats will be here on campus, although not necessarily in the school building. Some upcoming events in the school. We do have parent-teacher conferences next week. If you haven't signed up, you need to do so before Sunday. The system will be closed on Sunday afternoon. That will be followed by a day off for Columbus Day on Monday, October the 11th, which is followed by our first drive day of the year, Tuesday, October 12th. And just remember, on drive days, there is no bus service. So if your child takes the bus to school or takes the bus home from school, you do have to provide transportation on October 12th, that Tuesday. Watch for an email coming from Mrs. Sobey with the instructions on how to do that. You will also see information about some upcoming green and gold pre-events, which are very exciting and great ways to get together. And of course, we are in full swing in preparations for Halloween, the week of October 25th, including the return of the pumpkin contest and some really great service projects, along with activities on Halloween Day. Speaking of the green and gold, we are now fully scheduled and we have the date locked in on Saturday, May 14th. Mark your calendars and save the date for the return of the Green and Gold Gala. It's a whole lot of fun. It's unbelievably enjoyable, a great way to get together with people, as well as to support the school in a very large chunk of the budget. Basically speaking, the Green and Gold saves you $500 per student in tuition dollars that we don't have to charge because we can raise this money through fundraising. So think about ways that you're going to want to participate, coming to the event and helping secure donations and participating in the pre-parties. It's an awful lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. And let's just get ready. I'm sure there will be more coming out about the upcoming Green and Gold this May with a Hawaiian theme. And as we wind up this presentation for September, I'd like to swing back to our first goal this year, that goal being the attempt to greater unity and charity with each other. I know these times are hard, and I know they're sources of great frustration and causing some of us to be making some very serious decisions we didn't expect to be making at this point in our lives. And I know that causes a lot of stress. But we can always be kind. We can always be charitable to each other. We can always follow the example of our patroness, whose feast day we celebrate this week, Saint Therese. And as we pray here at school every morning, let me gently touch the lives of others, in our thoughts, in our words, in our prayers. Let's try really hard this week to follow her example, to think of what the other person needs, to be kind, to remember that we don't always understand what's going on in the person's life, and that we might not have money to donate, we might not agree with each other on politics or science, but we know that we can always be kind to each other, just like our patroness Saint Therese tried to do. So that's all I have for the month of September. I hope to see you all next week at parent-teacher conferences as we kick the year off already at mid-trimester 1 in 2021-22. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. Happy Feast of St. Therese, and I look forward to seeing you soon.